Symbols are a language that can help us understand our past. As the saying goes, a picture says 1,000 words, but which words?
The symbolic interpretation of the pyramid, which often surrounds the eye, is also a repeating theme among occultists. The first of these interpretations is that of the Trinity, which is the Father, the Mother, and the Son. The second interpretation is that of the Infernal Trinity, who is the dragon, the whore, and the beast. The third symbolic interpretation of the pyramid is that of a phallic symbol. A phallic symbol is something that symbolizes the male generative principle. You see, in the occult, an upward-pointing triangle is a symbol of the magical element fire, and fire represents the male principle. Aleister Crowley, easily the most famous black magician, made numerous references to the all-seeing eye as the Eye of Set, or the Eye of Satan, and repeatedly associated both the sun and the eye with Satan. Until quite recently, the $1 bill and various resources associated with Freemasonry and black magic were the only venues the all-seeing eye had. And then, something happened. Use of this once guarded symbol skyrocketed, despite the fact that its meaning remains veiled to the masses. It appears as the logo of the American Total Information Awareness Office, Great Britain's famous MI5, cathedrals, and of course, Freemasonry. The all-seeing eye has also undergone a pop culture explosion and, as of 40 years ago, has appeared in more than 30 major films and television shows. Tomb Raider is about a woman named Lara Croft, played by Angelina Jolie, who learns that her late father has left her the key to half of a superweapon called the Triangle of Light. The Triangle of Light is a weapon that was split into two pieces long ago and offers its bearer the awesome ability to control time. The main villain, Manfred Powell, is working hard for a group called the Illuminati so that the two halves of the triangle may be brought back together during a momentous celestial alignment. Right before the Illuminati succeed in gaining the power of God by bringing together the two halves, they are betrayed by Manfred Powell, who himself attempts to bring the two pieces of the triangle together. Lara Croft foils his plan and destroys the Triangle of Light so that it could never again endanger the world. In Tomb Raider, the all-seeing eye is both the insignia of the Illuminati and the superweapon they pursue.
The secret society known as the Illuminati, devious, dangerous men who seek to fulfill an ancient prophecy by reuniting the two halves.
In The Mummy Returns, a Tomb Raider of sorts named Rick, played by Brendan Fraser, discovers that a cult intends on resurrecting an ancient army using a bracelet belonging to the Egyptian god Anubis. The cult intends on unleashing and commandeering the army of Anubis. During the movie, a tattoo with the all-seeing eye and pyramid is seen on Rick's arm, and he is later told that this is a symbol of a chosen one, a warrior for God. The prophecy regarding the divine mark reveals itself to be true as Rick strikes the final blow that sends the army of Anubis back to the underworld. The movie The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus is about a traveling band of street performers who are more than what they seem. The traveling stage they perform on actually contains another dimension. Those who enter into this alternate dimension can become and experience anything they imagine. In the movie, an old man named Dr. Parnassus has gambled away the soul of his daughter to the movie's villain, a character called Mr. Nick, who collects people's souls. Dr. Parnassus attempts to free his daughter's soul from the wager by providing the villain with other people's souls. The all-seeing eye and pyramid are spotted on the Doctor's traveling stage. It's also worth noting that the villain's name, Mr. Nick, is very close to Old Nick, which has long been used as an alternative name for the devil. This villain is also explicitly called the devil in the movie. National Treasure is about a large, ever-growing treasure that has been handed down to one owner after another for ages. Eventually, the large cache of jewels and precious metals ends up in the hands of a group of knights called the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar, portrayed as noble heroes, feared that the treasure would fall into the hands of the British Empire, so they hid the treasure and left a series of clues regarding its whereabouts so that future generations could locate it. The movie's villain, an Englishman named Ian Howe, intends on cashing in on the treasure by following the clues left by the Freemasons. The protagonist, Ben Gates, played by Nicolas Cage, is also on the trail of the great national treasure. In the movie, the All-Seeing Eye and Pyramid were symbols of the Knights Templar, who would later rename themselves the Freemasons. Sometimes the Pyramid and All-Seeing Eye are seen in a movie or TV show without a specific use or context, as if it had no other apparent purpose other than to be seen. The first of these instances is a series of movies called Halloween Town. In 3 out of the 4 Halloween Town movies, the All-Seeing Eye can be seen on the door of a taxi that acts as the town's cab service. The Handmaid's Tale takes place in an alternate reality in a country called Gilead. In the movie, the country has become a theocratic police state that has been ravaged by poisons that has left the female population mostly infertile. The small sliver of women who are still fertile, called handmaids, have been gathered to a camp where they are assigned the task of bearing children. The government of the country, who is under attack by a growing rebellion, has for its emblem an all-seeing eye and pyramid. A Scanner Darkly is about a dystopic future where America is a police state and many people are addicted to an epidemic street drug named Substance D.
Just drive over to my place, kick back, get some tequila.
They're in my hair, on my skin. They're all over the place.
This is a world getting progressively worse. Can we not agree on that? What's on the dessert menu?
The bigger this war gets, the more freedoms we lose, the more Substance D is on our streets. Can't you figure this out? Look around you. Look how far we've come. Humanity wasn't meant to live like this. Our every waking moment, tracked and traced and scanned. It's time to stop submitting to this tyranny. It's time to realize that we're being enslaved. Uh-oh, it's our tax dollars at work to protect us from ourselves. Hey guys, I used to be one of you. Stop selling out your own species.
Although it is claimed that Substance D is being manufactured in foreign countries and shipped to America, the viewer and the movie's main character, Robert Arctor, eventually learn that the plants used to make Substance D are being grown by the very organization who claims to be fighting Substance D addiction. At the beginning of the film, the all-seeing eye and pyramid is seen on the t-shirt of a character played by Robert Downey Jr. This character betrays his friends and is a heavy user of Substance D himself.
I tip my hat to any entity that could bring so much integrity to evil.
What if they come in through the back door or the bathroom window like that infamous Beatles song?
Just sacrifice someone without them ever knowing it.
What does the scanner see?
Why is the US government preparing for civil war coming up?
Large sections of the US prepare for armed revolution. Hollow points of the DHS. And that virus on your computer. The Army now links to systematic covert operations on anyone who criticizes multinationals.
The last Super Bowl was played right here. We're here for drone repair.
Declared martial law. Daddy, what's martial law?
This summer's apocalypse movies tap current fears, notes Elysium director Neil Blomkamp. His new blockbuster shows America as a third world state. He says this isn't science fiction, this is today, this is now. 2 in 3 Americans now say the country's going the wrong direction. Half of them say it could require armed revolution. The New York Times notes America's prepping movement, people preparing for the worst, has now gone mainstream. Best-selling author Gerald Celente joins us. Thanks very much for coming on. You write the curtain's coming down on half a century of US dominance. Why do you say that?
Fascism has come to America. I don't say that as an inflammatory statement. I use it as a statement of fact. The merger of state and corporate powers, by definition, is called fascism. And I could back up that fact with 4 simple words. Too big to fail. In capitalism, there is no too big to fail. So it's been a corporate takeover, a military-industrial complex so big that if you just take out one underpinning of a too big to fail, the entire system collapses. They essentially called martial law a state of siege in Boston, magnified that in a couple of cities going on at the same time. You're going to see the entire nation break down. As long as the United States keeps waging war, the chances of retaliatory attacks grow greater. Hey, there was another drone strike. Another war being fought. There's a Bronx saying that we used to have as I was a kid. Payback's a bitch. The United States can't win a war, whether it's Iraq or Afghanistan, whether it's Libya or whether it was Vietnam. So the people have lost faith in the military aspect of the government, the policing aspects of the government. And so they realize on the economic end that they're on their own.
Just as stated by George H.W. Bush on September the 11th, 1990, their predetermined solution of a new world order is being formed before our very eyes. They have told us what they are doing, but we have chosen not to listen or failed to understand what was being said.